Alon Pinkas is a former Israeli diplomat. He joins us now from Tel Aviv. Alon, thank you for joining us again. What is the mood like on the streets of Israel when they look at these peace negotiations or negotiations for a ceasefire taking place in Egypt right now?
Well, there's a lot of anticipation and a lot of optimism. But at the same time, there is this, sense that we've been here, we've seen this, we've been disappointed and let down before. There's little trust in Mr. Netanyahu's motivation and goodwill here. But on the other hand, it seems, again, I'm perhaps subjective here, Rishad, but it seems that people think that this time there is a good chance, at least, and I emphasize, at least for the first phase of the so-called Trump plan, meaning the release of hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. That is what people are focused on, less on the future phases of governance in Gaza, Israeli withdrawal. People are more focused, perhaps exclusively focused on the hostages. They seem to be optimistic, but they've been burned before with this.
Alon, the thing is here, we can see the devastation which has been really wreaked on the Gaza Strip. I mean, it's plain to see that it's uninhabitable in many places right now. But Israel too has changed. You can't see the destruction, but what about civic society and a place where you have open discourse and democratic values? Is that also being changed by this?
Well, it's being affected. I don't know. It's going to take time before we can intelligently assess how it affected this. But you have to understand something. Israel in the last 2 years has been a nation on a collective PTSD, some kind of a post-traumatic stress disorder. People are devastated. People are angry. People are agonizing. They direct it at Netanyahu. They direct it at the Palestinians. They're living, I'm sorry to say, but it's a fact, they're living in some sort of collective denial over what's being done in Gaza, over the devastation and the ruination in Gaza. It's going to take time, but I'm absolutely sure that what you asked is going to manifest itself, meaning that there will be long-term, and by long, I mean a year or two, I'm not talking decades, major implications for what Israel underwent in these last 2 years. It has certainly shook the foundations of Israeli society.
And of course, a lot of this is contingent on whether we do get a ceasefire here as well. But you talk about the lack of trust and faith in Benjamin Netanyahu. There is, of course, previous here with what happened in March and the ceasefire being broken at that point here as well. But is it ultimately, after a prisoner exchange, in his interest or the way he sees things, for any peace plan to fail?
Oh, absolutely. He does not want a peace plan. He's not on board with the Trump plan. Let there be no misunderstanding. He was cornered and pressured by President Trump into agreeing to this. It is noteworthy that Trump, even with his relatively slow learning curve or a flat learning curve, realized that if you don't make Netanyahu say something publicly, he will renege on it. So he forced him to agree to it publicly. But Netanyahu has a vested interest in this going on. He believes, and I may be speculating here, but he believes that releasing the hostages will win him some good faith. But going further or continuing the war and reigniting the war would save his coalition. And that's the only thing that he cares about. If you look at the Trump plan, the entirety of the 20 points, that's a political death for Netanyahu. He can't go into the phases that include Israeli withdrawal, Arab or interim Arab governance in Gaza that includes, or by invitation of the Palestinian Authority, particularly, I go back to your previous report, particularly if Hamas is not down and out, and they're not going to be down and out after phase one. And so he has a vested interest in this not succeeding. And if you ask me, I think he is banking on Mr. Trump losing patience and disengaging from this after the first phase.
Alon, thank you. Alon Pinkas, a former Israeli diplomat, joining us there from Tel Aviv.
Don't miss out and get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.